What America needs now. The leadership qualities of Billy and Franklin Graham and former British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. More with former Congressman Robert Pittenger and his book, Character Matters, Personal Stories of 31 World Changers. You write about the leadership qualities of exceptional individuals, those you've met and those you know. Ronald Reagan, Margaret Thatcher, George W. Bush, Colin Powell, and I know you write about both Billy and Franklin Graham. So tell me why you included them in the book, and what qualities do you admire about Reverend Graham and his son?
Absolutely. Wonderful people. I first met Dr. Graham when I was his caddy. I was 21 years old in the Byron Nelson Golf Classic. He was playing with Byron and Arnold Palmer and Bob Hope. And I chased golf balls for Billy all over the golf course and Bob Hope as well. But that began a relationship. In the ensuing years, I was the assistant to Dr. Bill Bright, president of Campus Crusade for Christ. And as such, we had many, many meetings with Dr. Graham and had the occasion to be around him. And I saw a man who walked the life that he preached about. He was a very thoughtful, caring individual, and who sought to really honor Jesus every way he could. And his son Franklin, much like his mother, Franklin would charge hell with a water gun. He's a remarkable individual. We've flown around the world many times on his missions with Samaritan's Purse. And I just have great respect for the family. All of them are really wonderful people. Franklin's son, Will, came to one of our meetings in Romania just this last year to give a prayer breakfast. I organized security briefings for parliamentarians, and we'll have several hundred of them come to each of these meetings. But we had a prayer breakfast at this one to pray for Ukraine. And Will came in and gave an evangelistic message. And one member of the French Parliament came up to me afterwards and said, "You know, Robert, I've known you for many years. I know you're a Christian, but you know, I'm an atheist. But after hearing the message today, I believe I can believe in God." And so I think my gratitude for the Grahams is they've been so faithful and so consistent to present the gospel. You didn't see Billy or Franklin on the TV, whether it's Larry King or whatever show, that in the first minute they didn't give John 3:16. So I have deep respect for the family and all that they do for the kingdom of God.
How about several others? Who are your favorites in your book and why?
Well, of course, I wrote about Margaret Thatcher. I've hosted her twice in Charlotte and met with her many times in London. When I first met her, I said, "Lady Thatcher, we all know that you are the Iron Lady. You were there when the wall came down. You fought the socialists. You fought the liberals. You had enormous headwinds against you. Everyone fought your policies because you were trying to turn your country economically around, and even your own party. And through that, though, you prevailed. What we don't know is what made you Margaret Thatcher. What gave you the courage, the stamina, the fortitude, the conviction to persevere in the midst of all the headwinds of all the critics?" She said, "Robert is my father." She said, "First of all, my father was a Methodist Sunday school teacher, and he took me to church every Wednesday night and every Sunday morning, and I got grounded in my Christian faith. But he taught me three things about leadership. The first thing," she said, "that he taught me was determine the right thing to do. What is the principal thing to do in any given situation? Secondly, with your whole heart, commit yourself to that objective. And thirdly, with all your persuasion and all your conviction and all your ability, seek to bring your friends and your colleagues to join you." Well, that's very profound, very simple. But that focus led her throughout her 11 years as being prime minister. Let's move the clock forward 20 years. That was in 1993 that she recounted that story to me. In 2013, I'd been elected to the United States Congress. And Harvard invited all the new members, 85 of us, Democrat and Republican, up to the college, I guess, to give their opinions and points of view, try to persuade us on a lot of different policies. On the way out, I rode on the bus with a member of the UK Parliament who's a member of Labour. totally different party than Mrs. Thatcher. And as we rode along, we talked about mutual friends. And finally, I got the guts enough to ask her, what did you think of Margaret Thatcher, expecting the darts to fly, since they were of totally polarized views? And she looked at me, she said, Robert, God bless her. She saved our country. She had the guts and the courage to do what my party didn't have the courage to do. And boy, did that hit me. Of course, Ronald Reagan and Benjamin Netanyahu and Tom Landry, Joe Gibbs, Kathy Lee Gifford, all these individuals who had impactful lives, yet they all became they started this life as ordinary people. I mean, Billy Graham was a farm boy. Ronald Reagan was raised in a small Iowa town. We didn't come from royalty. No one, and we write about it in the book, but they all came from growing up in very ordinary people in lives, but they became extraordinary people. And God can use ordinary people to do extraordinary things. And all of these people as well had a Christian conviction and an understanding, at least a biblical one. I would say Christian for Benjamin Netanyahu and maybe Dr. Kissinger and some others, but they all knew the foundations of the moral principles, the guidance that led our country.
Okay, the book is Character Matters, Personal Stories of 31 World Changers. Congressman Robert Pittenger, thank you for sharing your time and insights. We appreciate it.
We appreciate it. Anytime the folks want to learn more, they can go to Amazon and find the book.